about Smiley, you got a mask.
I'm not leaving.
The smile, okay?
I'm
You make that smile.
behind that camera.
Long stars on this side.
If anyone wants to do any comments, come up and get a piece of paper, put your name down.
I'm like, yeah.
Make comments.
And she couldn't wait, well, I had to get mine.
When? Today? Just a while ago.
So, tonight, 7:30, our town board meeting, welcome all this year in attendance. And the purpose of the meeting, we have public hearing on the golf cart and also on the subdivisions. And at this time, I'll turn it over to the chairman, Ms. McDonald. You want to do the golf cart first, or the
Yeah,
subdivision?
listen, they probably more interested in the golf cart than the planning board was interested not in regulating golf carts, but the planning board was interested in protecting the town from lawsuits. And so I drafted an ordinance that we went over as a draft copy at the last meeting, which required a waiver by the town. I'm saying waiver by people that owns a golf cart. And but I got to thinking about that. Well, the reason we came up with the waiver, Brunswick County requires that. Brunswick County requires that you register the golf cart, you have to pay a $25 fee and have it inspected, and you have to sign a waiver. Nobody's forced to sign a waiver, but if you don't sign it, you won't be legal on the road. Dave and I just signed a waiver last week. We're supposed to go to Cape Cod. We have to sign a waiver that if we get COVID, we can't sue the travel agency. They can't force me to do it, but they'll just say, you can't go. So that's why we looked at waiver. So that's a common thing. But, got thinking about it, some people didn't like the idea of a waiver. And I understand that. And I got to thinking, that's more work on Sandy to keep up with it. So I kept looking and researching to see if I could find a way that we could get around a waiver and get the town be protected. So I went to the, I had checked ordinances from Carolina Shores, Calabash, Ocean Isle, Sunset Beach, Holden Beach, Wrightsville Beach, Carolina Beach. I don't know how, I have read so many. And I thought, what about Southport? Because Southport is a waterfront and not an ocean or a beach town like the others. And Southport, I said, bingo, they're onto it. Instead of asking you to sign a waiver, the town could just declare a disclaimer. We just simply say in our ordinance, we're not responsible. Do a disclaimer, so you don't have to do anything. Now, when I finished this ordinance of mine, I believe it was Tuesday, and I sent it to the town attorney, Ms. meeting and ask her to look over it because there was a penalty on there that was $50 per violation, and I'm thinking, let me give you some copies of it. This is one I might not have enough, so y'all might have to share. But the only,
Hey, if I can go run some more, I'll do some more.
okay, well, if you can share, do it. If not, we'll do what we can. The only rule, okay, and I might have enough to give to you. The only rule is under C that says when you're on the highway, just obey the law. Well, folks, we all know that you gotta do that whether it's real or not. You have to follow the law. And who's back here? So, I asked her if I could delete the penalty because we're not enforcing anything. You don't enforce, something that the deputies and state patrol and whatever are taking care of. That's not. Okay, I've still got some.
Behind.
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
Y'all need some. Hey, do you have enough for them? If not, I'll go run some off for you.
Oh, y'all might
This is
need
the
me.
first one, isn't it?
Sorry about that.
You need some more?
No, I got enough. I'm sorry. So anyway, I sent this to her. No, this is what you got. Yeah, so you want to take this one right here. This was the one that's in here. So anyway, I sent the draft to her to see, oh, you didn't get one?
John David.
John David didn't. Well, sir, Judy, did you get one?
I got one.
And back here. I sent a copy to, our attorney to ask her, can't we delete the penalty? Because we don't have a police department, and so we're not gonna be out there checking you to see if you're speeding. We're not gonna be out there to check and see if you're a licensed driver. So, what was the point of that? So, and she wrote back, and I have the email, where she said that we could drop that penalty part. So there's what you have, the town just declared a disclaimer. Now, that's the ordinance that we've come up with. Now, our attorney sent us, an ordinance, if I can put my hands on it. Well,
I just gave it to you.
I know you did, you just gave it to me, what in the world did I do with it? I got one from Brunswick County, I got one line from Southport, because that's the model I use. Wait a minute,
Should be stapled together.
how could I have, well, I do this at the house. You sound like me. Did I give you? Is it up here in this file? That might, thank you, I think that's it. Okay. Thank you. Okay, this is the one from our attorney, which is the same, she used the model that I used, except, and I don't have copies for all of these. She's got in there the required safety features. You got to have 2 operating headlights, equivalent light bar, visible from a distance of at least 200 feet. 2 operating tail lights with brake lights, turn signals, visible from a distance of at least 250 feet. A rear vision mirror. I'm reading the one from the attorney. A horn, stop lamps, 1 reflector per side, a parking brake. A type 1 or type 2 seat belt assembly conforming to section 571.209 of the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard, number 209, installed at each designated seated position. You got to have a windshield, got, limited on to 3 rows of seats, and you got to comply with all the safety requirements. And then it goes on to tell the length and the height and the width, and the golf cart can only be operated on roads that's 35 miles an hour, we all know that. A golf cart must display a valid city-issued golf cart annual registration sticker. So if you go by this one, you're gonna have to register, because you're gonna have a decal from the town. All golf cart operators must be 18 years of old, surely. You got to be a licensed driver. A no golf cart may be operated at a speed greater than reasonable and prudent for existing conditions, and in no instance greater than 20 miles per hour. No golf cart may be operated in a careless or reckless manner. The driver and passengers must be properly seated while the golf cart's in motion. The seating capacity with seat belts shall not be exceeded. So you have to go by whatever the seating capacity is for your car. Golf carts may not be operated or parked on any sidewalk or in any city park except for golf carts operated by governmental or public service agencies for official purposes. Golf carts must be operated in accordance with all applicable state and local laws and ordinances, including all laws, regulations, and ordinances pertaining to the possession and use of alcoholic beverages and other impairing substances. Golf carts may only be parked in the same manner and at the same places designated for the parking of motor vehicles. Well, we don't have parking meters and things like that. But anyway, golf carts may only park in handicap parking spaces if the driver has a valid handicap placard or sticker, and the same is clearly posted or displayed in the golf cart. Golf carts may not be used for the purpose of towing another cart, trailer, or vehicle of any kind, including a person on roller skates, skateboards, or bicycles. The possession of open containers of alcohol or consumption of alcohol by the driver or passengers of a golf cart is prohibited. Golf carts may not be used as a taxi cab or a bus for the commercial care of passengers or the haul and freight. Golf carts are required to maintain liability insurance at the same level as required for automobiles. Golf carts shall not be operated on or across any public or private property without the permission of the property owner. During an emergency situation or at a special event, any police officer supervising or controlling traffic may direct that golf carts be operated only on or upon certain streets or locations by the officer. Penalties. In addition to constituting a misdemeanor or infraction, violation of any provision of this ordinance shall be subject the offender to a civil penalty in the amount of $50 for each separate distinct offense to be recovered by the city in an action in the nature of debt if not paid by the offender within 72 hours after being cited for the violation. Operating a golf cart under the influence, that's drugs or alcohols, on a public street is a violation of the law and punishable as provided therein. The charging officer does not have discretion to issue a civil citation. In other words, the officer would have to give you the same ticket as if you were out in any other road. He can't come under a civil violation. The city may refuse and issue a permit for the operation of the golf cart. So if we adopt this one, you're going to have to get a permit from the town. But the city may refuse to register and issue a permit for the operation of the golf cart, or may revoke a previously issued permit if the registered golf cart or the owner of the golf cart is involved in 3 or more violations in this section pertaining to within a 3-year time period. Said revocation and/or denial of a permit shall be effective for 1 year. And then she's got the disclaimer, which it pretty much reads like the same one that I have in that one, but I'll read it. And then we'll go back over the other one, and you all can make some comments. This section is adopted to address the interest of public safety. Golf carts are not designed or manufactured to be used on the public streets, and the city in no way advocates or endorses their operation on public streets or roads. The city, by regulating this operation, is addressing obvious safety issues. An adoption of this section is not to be relied upon as determination that operation on public streets is safe or advisable if done in accordance with this section. All persons who operate or ride upon golf carts on public streets or roads do so at their own risk or peril and must be observant of and attentive to the safety of themselves and others, including their passengers, other motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians. The city has no liability under any theory of liability, and the city assumes no liability for permitting golf carts to be operated on the public streets and roads under the special legislation granted by the state legislature. Now, she took this model, she's got the definitions in there, which are the C, she took this from the Southport model, and that's what I did. I took it from the Southport model because I thought it was more for us. But if you got your copy, if you look on page 1, there's a disclaimer. Golf carts are not designed or manufactured to be used on the public streets of the town. In no way advocates or endorses their operation on public streets or roads. The town, by regulating this operation, is addressing obvious safety issues. An adoption of this ordinance is not to be relied upon as determination that operation on public streets is safe or advisable if done in accordance with Section 1. All persons who operate or ride upon golf carts on public streets or roads do so at their own risk and peril, and must be observant of and attentive to the safety of themselves and others, including their passengers, other motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians. The town has no liability under any theory of liability, and the town assumes no liability for permitting golf carts to be operated on the public streets and roads under the special legislation granted by the state. The penalty that was in that one, I deleted the penalty, and we have, it is the intention of the town, and it is hereby ordained that the provision of this ordinance shall become and be made a part of the Code of Ordinances for the town of Varnumtown. And to accomplish such intention, sections of this ordinance may be renumbered, captions added, sections retitled, section references corrected, and repealed, provisions deleted. What that simply means, we've got a book, it's about this thick, that is the Code of Ordinances. That is all our ordinances that we had codified. In other words, we had the attorneys look at it, the professionals, and they put all our codes in an order. So those captions and those section numbers from the first page of the first ordinance, they have to be in sync right on down to the last page. So, if we adopt this ordinance or that ordinance, it's got to fit somewhere. If this were the book, it's got to fit somewhere in that book. And wherever it fits, that will determine what the number will be under Section 1, what the caption will be. It's just got to fit in that Code of Ordinances. That's all that section reads. But as far as the planning board, when it was discussed, they were not interested in regulating golf carts because We have, like, that rule and regulation says, all persons operating a golf cart within the Varnum town limit shall comply with all laws and regulations for motor vehicles operated on state highways in the state of North Carolina. We have to do that anyway. And so, that's all this is, except for a disclaimer that the town can't be responsible for any, physical injury or property damage. That's all this is. The reason we don't have to have a penalty, because I talked with her about the penalty, is we don't enforce it. I mean, we don't enforce speed limit. We don't have a police officer to see how many is in your golf cart. That's not what we do. That's left up to the deputies and the state patrol. But there's the one from the planning board, and the other one was the one from the attorney. So if y'all want to comment on this before we go to the changes to the subdivision ordinance, we'll do that. Mary, you think that'll be reasonable to, so you can take comments?
Thank you all for that, I appreciate that. Now it's time for public comments. Does anyone have any comment they would like to make?
I can't believe it just like it is. Nobody's, I've had a golf cart for 25 years. Nobody's ever got hurt or sick, and I know of in Barnum.
It's all that, since the legislature has passed the law that if the speed limit's 35, that the golf carts can be permitted to operate. And for that reason, all the towns, like I told you, I checked from Calabash, and it goes right, all the towns have adopted ordinances. I've got one right here from Ocean Isle. And that every one of them are doing that to protect their town from lawsuits. Brunswick County, I've got that ordinance, I just got the piece here that has their disclaimer on it. But Brunswick County, if you leave the boundary of Varnum Town, and if you go anywhere else in the county that's not incorporated, that would come under county, you will be fined if they catch you on a golf cart and you have not carried your golf cart to the sheriff's department, had it registered, signed a waiver, and paid an inspection fee. That's county. So we figured if Brunswick County and all these other towns need to be protected from lawsuits, we wanted Varnum Town protected. But there's nothing for anybody to do. That the only thing basically this is our disclaimer saying we can't be responsible. There's no changes to how you use your golf cart. None. There's no rule. You can see it on C under section 1. That's it. There's no rule. There's no change to how you use your golf cart. None whatsoever.
I haven't ever seen anyone pulled over by a deputy or state trooper driving their golf course down here.
I have a question. On this, the definitions you've got on here that that it cannot be capable of exceeding speeds of 20 miles per hour, but most golf carts go over 20 miles per hour now. And also with the ATVs on here, you know, they do make side-by-sides and they are street legal now. So is that not something that could be put in there that's allowed to be driven on the road as well?
Well, the ATVs are disqualified as golf carts.
I mean, they're disqualified as golf carts, that don't mean they're not straight legal.
So that doesn't
Still
mean
make
they can't
straight
drive.
That's a different, that's a different, to be street legal, that's a whole separate, and you would come under the rules of the deputies or state patrol.
My thing is, how is Varnum Town gonna have anything in here that protects them from an illegal vehicle riding up and down the stained old road? The state's what mandates these highways. So if you're driving a vehicle down the highway that's not state mandated, it don't meet inspection, and it don't meet state requirements to be on a public road, how can Varnum Town be liable for it?
Well, we can't be, that's up to law enforcement.
I got you.
Gotcha.
Oh, I don't see how we could do it.
I agree.
I think that,
And there's only a handful of them that ride up and down these roads that are,
I think what I,
like, we all know that with tax and
I was
insurance.
wondering about that speed part, because the
The
way,
speed-
it's the way it's stated, not capable. I bought mine just new here recently, it's licensed and tagged and insured, and it will go faster than 20. It
Yeah.
says not capable.
They usually have the law, I believe Brunswick County, you can't exceed 20
Well,
miles.
that's not what that says.
No, I see what you're saying.
That says not capable.
It says that maybe it's read not to exceed that speed limit and not, that it's not capable. Because if your golf cart goes faster,
It goes
it's
35.
capable, then it's capable.
Well, see, I thought as, in order for it to be street legal, it has to be capable of going 35 miles per hour.
But they've got a speed limit of 20 on all the ordinances.
I can understand what you're saying.
But that
the way that
capable, yeah.
reads is not right.
Yeah, I see that, it was under definitions B for a golf cart. We could amend that.
Okay.
We could amend that part that's not capable. Because as long as you don't exceed the speed limit, I don't see why the state patrol should bother you. You know, I mean, it's just like our cars. You know, you might have a car that'll shoot up to 120, but you can't get out there and drive that on the highway. So that's a good point, thank you, that we can amend that part right there.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any others?
Well, you want us to go on to the next?
I'm trying to condense everything down where I can understand things. So if I was to go purchase a golf cart, if I understand right, I don't have to register anything under this ordinance. I don't have to register. I don't have to sign anything. All I have to do is obey state laws, and if I do something stupid, I'm liable. I can't sue now.
You got it right.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
And I don't think we all stupid.
Okay, so,
But here's my point, okay, understanding what you just said.
Right.
The town just said you can go buy a golf cart, and you don't have to have a state maintained. And you can drive it up and down the roads, and they're not liable for it. But if somebody driving their boat down the road runs into the back of you and kills you, and they don't have any insurance or anything on their vehicle, I mean,
But they
you
can't
see,
sue
that's
now.
where the state law, the patrol when come to the accident, all that's required by the state. All those regulations for the legal to the highway.
so it's basically just clearing the town,
That's right, it's just clearing us of liability, that's all it is.
Like Gerald, if you take me for a ride, I jump out of the golf cart, I tries to break my arm, I can't sue the town.
You ain't gonna say that, you gonna get up a bunch of deals there.
I think if that 20 mile an hour is a general statute, can you change it?
Well,
But and that one that she read earlier, it said not to exceed, it didn't say not capable.
The one that Katie wrote said not to exceed.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just
it's
that-
wording.
capable, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that not capable?
I understand, I didn't know that.
And not exceeding 20 miles an hour.
And as a matter of fact, let me,
To me, this falls back on what Monk said in the very beginning, why even change? You know?
Well, they have to.
State statute.
Okay, so,
But we changed all the speed limits down to 35 all over the town.
okay, now, listen, here's all. Well, the attorney wrote the same thing. A vehicle, I tell you, she used the same model I did, that Southport. A vehicle designed and manufactured for operational golf carts for sporting or recreational purpose and that is not capable of exceeding speeds of 20 miles per hour. And that was from the.
Let's take that out, the sheriff's department, do whoever.
But
Yeah, so
that's
let
up to
them
them,
enforce it.
that's not, we don't enforce any of that. We don't know what your vehicle's capable of.
You couldn't drag mine 35 miles an hour.
Y'all can get out there and make a game out of it and
Any
it
other
will go
comments?
fast. Okay, now, do we want to move on to the subdivision ordinances before we get into?
Do you wish to maybe, take a vote on this, since we've had our public comments? Or, is that pleasure to board to take a vote to accept these ordinances, or table it to another meeting? On a vote?
I would do each one separately.
Say again.
It needs to be separate.
I would do each one separately.
You talking about the subdivision ordinance?
Yeah, we got to do it separate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, so let's, do the, so you want to get a vote on the, okay, well, then,
What the attorney says, that an ordinance does not have to be passed tonight.
no, we don't have to vote on it
Says
tonight.
the board can choose to table the matter until the next meeting in order to amend the current ordinances.
So we're not going to amend it, that's the general statute, you can't.
Being she's got that in the definition, we would have to make sure we could amend that one. But other than that, I think we're good to go. We can vote on whichever one. Which one do y'all want to pass? You want the one where you register and
We got-
get a
Where we don't
permit?
have to do that, you say today.
We got,
In the email that she sent, regarding the short
waiver, we
she said that the draft that was sent to me implies that in section C1 of the short form, that golf carts must be licensed and registered with state road. The language in C1 shall comply with all laws and regulations, and it's the word regulations that she's questioning. The term regulation can mean that a golf cart must comply with the very same vehicle regulations, i.e. insured, pass inspection, vehicle plates, etc. I'm not sure if that is what the board intends with this resolution.
We can't say that our golf carts don't have to, go by the state rules.
It's the word regulation that she's questioning. That is there another word that needs to be there? And that's legally, I mean, that's a question for her. Is there a better word that we could put in the short version if we went with the short version?
It's all regulated by, whether it's there or not, it's all regulated by deputies and,
Yeah, but I mean, just in terms of the wording, and she's the one that knows all the little ins and outs of the law. So my question is, if we pass something, I want to make sure it stands up in court if it's ever tested.
What was that?
Do the other towns have the same
Yes.
clause of 20 miles, not capable of exceeding 20 miles an hour? Do all the other towns have that?
I read so many until, I think they did. I believe they did, but who am I speaking to? I think they did.
I just pulled up the
I
general,
read so many.
Ada, I just pulled up the general statute, and it says, a vehicle designed and manufactured for operation on a golf course for sporting or recreational purposes, and that is not capable of exceeding speeds of 20 miles per hour. That is the actual general statute.
We can't
So
change it.
if it goes over 20 miles an hour, it's not a golf cart, this ordinance doesn't apply, right?
That's your bid.
No, I'm just saying, I don't even understand this.
I don't either. I don't either.
If it goes over 20 miles an hour, it's not a golf cart, this ordinance doesn't apply. So I don't
It's
know why
not
you
gonna
want to change
affect
it.
anybody but
But
the
when
town.
you do, wouldn't you wait 20 years to vote on that?
Well, I don't think I'll be here. I'm gonna vote, I better do it now.
I got a point I wanna make.
here's a question.
I'm over on Oak Island an awful lot, and, as you know, there are three main roads on Oak Island. You know, Oak Island Drive is 45 miles an hour. Yacht Drive is 35 miles an hour. From what I understand, the laws over there are, if you wanna drive on Oak Island Drive, which is 45 miles per hour, you have to have a street legal golf cart. You know, one of those great big ones that's got plenty of batteries and can go over, 35 miles an hour or faster. Have big tires on them, those you can. But there are a lot of people that drive golf carts, just regular golf carts that can go 20 or whatever. And you see them on the side roads plenty of times. They just don't go on Oak Island Drive. And I think that's what their ordinances say. So I think that's right in line with what you all are going after with this.
And there's some towns that allow what they call slow-moving vehicles. That's something other than golf carts.
They have one, they're defining it as excursion passenger vehicles. And then under that, it defines it as, then they have, this one goes under low-speed vehicles.
Low speed.
A four-wheel electric vehicle whose top speed is greater than 20 miles per hour, but less than 25 miles per hour.
And some of the beach towns allow these low-speed vehicles. But see, that's some of them. The state legislature voted to allow golf carts. So that's why we're here. We're not addressing low-speed vehicles.
Okay, getting back to Norman's question.
We could we do like the, comply with all laws and legal regulations?
I mean, that's why I wanted her to be here, to make sure that.
Well,
correctly.
we can check with her and see if we can, because if the regulations is the problem, as long as, and you know what, the rule and regulation, it's there to more or less back up our disclaimer. It's not that we enforce any rule or regulation. It's just there to back up the fact that we can't be responsible and that we're saying follow the law, but that doesn't mean by our saying follow the law that we're saying that it's safe. But if we could check with her and see if we just leave out regulations and comply with the law. Well, we gotta do that anyway.
What was her issue with regulation, the word
It's
regulation?
The way that reads, it's the word regulation that it sounds like she wants to put something else in there.
Or what she's saying?
She did,
She didn't, she just questioned the word regulation.
just questioned it.
Because all she said on that was the language shall comply with all laws and regulations for motor vehicles operated on highways within the state and the city. The term regulation can mean that a golf cart must comply with the same vehicle regulations, insurance, passing inspection, vehicle plates, etc. And I'm not sure that's what the board intends with this resolution.
But no, legally, with the law, you're supposed to have it, right? She knows she's not. Legally, you're supposed to do all that.
With all the fine print and all the gray area that's in this disclaimer, why not just make it simple and say the town of Varnumtown does not allow golf carts or low-speed vehicles on the roads and let the state maintain it? And then that frees us up completely.
Well, we want
We're
to
no longer
allow golf
liable.
carts, though.
That's what it says.
We're not trying to stop golf carts.
But you don't have to.
You're not
I mean,
gonna
we're
enforce
saying
it
you're not gonna enforce it if it goes over 20 miles an hour. If it's not street legal, you're not gonna enforce it.
We're not enforcing anything.
Exactly. So just say,
We're
They're
not
not
gonna be
allowed.
responsible.
All the roads in
just say they're not allowed in the disclaimer.
All the roads in Varnumtown are state maintained anyway.
Right.
They're state highways.
No, if we said they weren't allowed, then the law would come down here and put them on.
Oh,
We can't do that.
Oh, go.
What we're doing is adopting the disclaimer.
yeah.
That's what.
I feel like with the disclaimer, when you say that it's okay to have a golf cart and then it don't meet the rules that the state requires, you're opening up a can of worms.
How is that?
Because you're saying it's okay to drive an illegal golf cart up and down the roads in Varnumtown.
No, we're saying that's why we put that there, to follow the law. That's the only rule we have, is that you follow the law.
Yeah.
have to do that anyway. But the purpose of it was just to protect the town, like I say, that, and I don't believe the board is interested in regulating them. We don't want inspections and decals, and we don't want to hire somebody to, you know, we're not interested in that. I think that all we just wanted to do was to have this disclaimer so that the town do protect from lawsuits. We want you to drive like you've been driving them.
I think since.
I like them myself, I'd like to have
I don't
one.
know of anyone since the inception of the town in 1988 has ever had a ticket on our highways out here. And they've ridden ATVs and golf carts and bicycles, wheelbarrows, it's never been ticketed. And we have deputies living right here in Barton.
A couple of those four-wheelers have got stopped.
How fast were we going?
Well, I have no idea.
No, Brothers versus Street.
Okay, do we have any more questions on that?
She had one more question on the proposed form, the proposed short form, where it does not contain language requiring additional safety measures, such as requiring at a minimum a driver's license to operate, car seat requirements for infants and toddlers, and minimum liability insurance.
Yeah, she was saying that we're not requiring driver's license, but the reason we're not, because we're not enforcing it. That's between the drivers and the law out there. Barntown, we can't.
But she's
Check to see.
proposing that be added.
But we don't have we don't have a police department.
Well, I
That's
know
the
we don't,
difference.
but she's proposing it be added in order to protect the
If
town
we did.
further than
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, but we don't have a police department, we don't have a way to enforce it. And if you comply with the law, that's good. But whether you do or don't, we're not responsible. But that's just as plain as I can put it.
Any more comments? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we adopt the, short-term version.
I second it.
As it is, or with,
Well, we're gonna have to leave that definition.
I just wanna make sure that everybody do that.
We don't know what you want.
That's the change.
Just don't tell the law.
Since I just read it, since mine's registered with the state, I really don't fall under that anyway, because I'm already registered with the Department of Motor Vehicles.
There you go.
Yeah, so it wouldn't fall under that.
And they're all supposed to be.
I'm fine with
I second it, yeah.
Okay, motion's been made, second, all in favor, vote, raise your hand. All opposed? 4-2. One.
Okay.
Okay, now that concludes the golf course, now we're going into the subdivision ordinance, Riverside 1, subdivision, and minor subdivision, and major subdivisions.
Okay. I'll go as far as I can here, then again, y'all might have to share. Mike, I'm not gonna forget you this time.
Teresa just brought something to my attention about golf carts.
Okay.
State law says that if it don't go over 20 miles per hour, it don't have to be registered. But if it's over 20 miles per hour, it has to be registered with the state.
Drink the same from the law, then, don't get free. Right.
Okay, I still have some, so I, you know, I have them down there. Always lose some. That's okay. Anybody else? This'll be easy. This, I think you'll be so glad of this. This is good. I know it'll be good for some people. Okay, on our subdivision ordinance, we have three. We have a Riverside subdivision ordinance, which pertains just to Riverside. Then we have a minor subdivision, which is less than 5 lots. Then we have a major subdivision ordinance, which is 5 lots greater. Well, basically, what we all deal with is the minor subdivision and Riverside subdivision ordinance. We do not have in these ordinances the definition of structure. And years ago, when they were adopted, that was not an issue. But we have to, it needs to be identified so we'll have clarity on it because, well, let me read. The definition of structure. Anything built, erected, or constructed, being wall or roof, a gas or liquid storage tank that is primarily above ground, swimming pools, utility poles, fences, uncovered patios, and decks are not defined as structures. Now, the reason that structure needs to be defined is because we have setback requirements. You have to be 5 feet from the property line in the back, and you have to be 50 feet from the front, 10 feet on the side from your property line. That you can't put a structure in that setback. So that's why we needed to identify structure. So anything walled or roofed would be a structure and would have to go by the setback. But a patio or a deck or a sidewalk, that kind of stuff, swimming pool is not a structure according to this definition. And I went on to Brunswick County subdivision ordinance and got the definition. So we're in sync with county. Now that would come under section 150.05 under definitions of the Riverside ordinance. Now for the major subdivision ordinance, that would be section 152.005 under definitions, and it's the same definition there, so I won't read it again. Turn the page and you'll go to the minor subdivision ordinance. That's under section 151.075, design standards for erosion and sediment control. Now, we've got the definition of structure we want to put in both subdivision ordinances, Riverside, minor, and major. Now, what we're dealing with here, right, for a long time it was like a 30-foot easement. If you wanted an easement or a right-of-way, it had to be 30 feet, then it went up to 45. Well, the planning board thought that 45 feet was excessive. And I have been told, I don't know, but I've been told that Brunswick County has dropped their requirement from 45 to 30.
No, they dropped theirs from 60 to 45.
From 60 to 40, that would have been in a major development, yeah. So, anyway, we wanted to recommend to the board to reduce that 45-foot right-of-way to 30. And then in section 151.005, add the definition of structure. And also there's a definition of minor subdivision in that ordinance that says minor subdivisions shall have easements for streets and rights-of-way, whether public or private, they're at least 45 feet. We recommend reducing that to 30. And we had an incident where there was property that the easement was given right away, was down the property, went halfway down the property, that was recorded a long time back, and it was a 30-foot easement. Well, this particular property, they wanted to extend that easement onto the back of the property to set up another lot back there for a family member. And that's what got our attention, because it would start with a 30-foot easement and now have to widen out to 45 for the rest of the property. And that didn't make sense to us. And so we got to looking at it, and I'm talking about the planning board. And so the planning board wanted to recommend to the board here that we change that 45 feet to 30 feet. So to add the structure, to add the definition of structure, and reduce the easement requirements from 45 to 30. That's what this is. Sorry.
Thank you, Steve. I left one out.
This will be good too. This one's good too. Under the Riverside subdivision ordinance, under section 150.07, this was left out. And so we recommended it be added in. Lots recorded prior to the Riverside 1 subdivision ordinance adopted on May 12, 1997 are grandfathered in. So, because the lots in Riverside, when that development was made, those lots were already made, and so they should be grandfathered in. That's what this says. That's a recommendation there from the planning board to the board.
Thank you, Alderman. Do we have any comments?
Does everybody agree?
No comment.
Well, it must be good. Do we agree back and forth?
Well, there's no comments, everything. No comments, everything being explained, everybody's happy. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the public?
Well, we need to, we got to adopt the changes that I just read.
Okay, but you do I hear a motion to adopt the change of that?
I'll make a motion to adopt these changes.
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous. Now, do I hear a motion?
Get a motion, we adjourn the public hearing.
Do I hear a second?
I said,
All in favor, raise your hand. Adjourn. Now, we get ready to go in our regular meeting. All this tonight. And it's going to be 8:22. And at this time, Alderman Swain, would you like to lead us in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day you've given each of us, and we come together, Father, to do business for a time. We thank you that you have blessed us in many ways. Now, Father, lead us in the business at hand and bless those that need your blessing in a physical way. We thank you for our privilege to serve you, and we'll ask it through your Son's name. Amen.
Amen. I hear a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hand. It carries. Reading of the minutes, regular meeting July 12, 2021.
The regular meeting of the Town of Varnum Board of Aldermen was held at the Town Hall July 12, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Present were Mayor Bill Kirby, Alderman Ada McDonald, Judy Galloway, Sylvia Galloway, Ennis Swain, John David Dawson III, Clerk Sandy Parrish. Mayor Kirby called the meeting to order with a prayer by Alderman Swain. The agenda was approved with a motion by Alderman S. Galloway, seconded by Alderman Dawson. Mayor Kirby stated that he spoke with Kirsty Dixon from the county. Hold on. Concerning the solid waste ordinance, She said the county was still working on getting the interlocal agreement together and that they are planning to have a meeting. Alderman McDonald asked if the county was going to let the town know so someone could be there to represent Varnumtown. Mayor Kirby was told that he would be contacted. Alderman McDonald stated that the public hearing for amendments to the subdivision ordinances and to adopt the golf course cart ordinances were voted on at the last minute, but dates need to be set. Alderman McDonald made a motion to hold a public hearing on August 9th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. to amend the subdivision ordinances and to adopt a golf cart ordinance. Seconded by Alderman Jay Galloway, motion passed unanimously. Alderman McDonald reported that she contacted Captain Hook Towing to help with enforcing the no parking at the emergency vehicle parking area at the boat ramp. She was given a sign by the company that could be posted at the location. Alderman Dawson stated that he would like to check with another company from Shalake. After some discussion, Alderman McDonald made a motion to use Captain Hook Towing for the emergency parking only area at the boat ramp and post their company sign, seconded by Alderman Swain. Motion passed with a 4 yes, 1 no vote. Alderman Dawson will be getting an estimate from Mike Fulford for microphones and will work on getting other estimates also. Alderman Dawson that stated that the town needs to look into a sidewalk to the outside bathrooms at the town hall to be ADA compliant. Merce Galloway will check on estimates for concrete, sidewalks at the park and the town hall bathrooms. The clerk represented the information from Elon City about an app that can share information to the community through smartphones. The board would like the clerk to gather more information on the app. The clerk read the report from Gay Fulford, the event chair, concerning the updates on the spring craft show-off. The event committee will open a separate bank account for town events. She is working on an application process and working out parking and transportation. Alderman McDonald stated that she called Alex Quigger after the June meeting about the private boat ramp that he knew of. He said he meant to say a private parking lot, not private boat ramp. Alderman McDonald stated that the town, Alderman McDonald called the town and was told that the private parking lot was owned by a development at Sloop Point. The town does not have a private parking lot. Mayor Kirby stated that the cedar sign at the town park is in need of repair, and also the sign on Brown's Landing. Merce Galloway will look into what can be done. Alderman Dawson stated that the website is in progress. It should be up by the end of August. It will include the town ordinances and all of the subcommittee meetings. Alderman Dawson would like to include a table at the Christmas event to recognize all town volunteers. Mayor Kirby stated that the veterans plaque this thing keeps jumping, I'm sorry, needs to be updated. Alderman McDonald and Alderman S. Galloway checked into getting it clean last year and was told that it couldn't be repaired, that the town would need to purchase a new one to replace it. Alderman McDonald stated that the town still needed to get a plaque for term served to go with John David Dawson's second picture. The clerk reported that permits for 2 new constructions, an HVAC, and a storage lot were issued. All quarterly reports have been submitted. The audit process has begun. The county is implementing a new online permit portal process. Town residents go online first to apply with the county for a permit number. Once that has gone through, then the town can do the ordinance inspection and log into the portal to check off of Varnumtown. As of this meeting, the clerk reported that the new system is not working efficiently. The clerk read a letter from Merce Galloway stating that an increase from $100 to $150 to cut and maintain the boat parking lot 2 is needed because of the time and efforts it is taking to complete the job around all of the traffic and vehicles. Alderman S. Galloway made a motion to raise the boat ramp maintenance rate to $150. Seconded by Alderman S. Galloway. Motion passed with 4 yes. Alderman McDonald was excused for conflict of interest. During public comments, Doug McDonald wanted to make sure that the town will get microphones for the meeting. Alderman Dawson III reassured him that he is working on it. Doug McDonald stated that he knew that concrete framing and pouring is $280 per yard right now. He also wanted to know who was going to enforce all the signs at the boat ramp and parking lot. Alderman Dawson stated that he is in favor of doing what was said when the property was purchased and turned it into a park. Mayor Kirby stated that it was intended for a park and he thought it would be a perfect spot for a Christmas tree lighting. Alderman Jay Galloway stated that at the time when the property was purchased, the board had a thought of using the property for a park, but after the town got estimates on docks, walkway, etc., the idea was tabled because it was so expensive and was decided to let local fishermen use it for parking. Alderman McDonald stated that the board never voted on the use of the property. Kenny Hewitt wanted the town to consider roping the parking lot area off and have no more parking because it was such a problem, and use it for a park and consider working out something with Nikki and Jackie Barnum and pay them a yearly fee so that people can park there. As there was no further business to discuss, a motion to adjourn was made by Alderman S. Galloway, seconded by Alderman Swain. Motion passed.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as read?
I'll make a motion.
I hear a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Ayes, carried. Okay. Old business, I guess that's me. We do have an appointment on the 19th for solid waste, to the, Brunswick County Planning on that. Also, what I wanted to do too, I went back and looked at the minutes, and I pulled the minutes December the 10th, 2012. And if anybody else can find any other minutes, I'd be happy to entertain and listen. But we were talking about the parking lot versus park. And I was on the board at the time, and, since then, there's been a couple of other aldermen elected since I know ran for re-election. And the minutes that read December 10th, 2012 stated, Alderman McDonald had heard good feedback on the parking area. She suggested that we get a sign to designate the area for the oystermen and planters. Alderman Robertson, who was advertised at the time. Okay, let me get back going. Alderman Robertson stated that his concern about designating the land now instead of waiting in case there's another use that the town would like to use the area for at a later date. The board decided to wait until a later date to decide the designation of the land. Does anybody have anything where the town has actually voted park/parking lot? Do we have any minutes anywhere?
Well, I'm wondering, when the board voted to put the sign up that said boat ramp parking, would that be a designation?
Was it unanimous by the board? Here's what I'd like to
So
do.
that part would be in the minutes, because, and two, I've got the minutes from February, 20, last February. I don't know if I'm a week or not, but I have, and we were talking about there, I might can find it, we were discussing resurfacing the parking lot. And as a matter of fact, we checked with our engineer and checked with CAMA to find out what we could do to improve the surface of the parking lot. So we've been calling it a parking lot, we've been treating it like a parking lot, we've been making decisions and maintaining our parking lot. So would that be a designation where we put the sign? We even fixed the two driveways so we could have the going in with the boat you know, and trailer and out. So would that be considered a designation where we labeled it that?
Here's what I would like to suggest. Let's have a survey. Let the town people come up, have a survey for a parking lot / park. And, you know, let majority of the people decide what they want. But it hasn't really ever been, it's been alluded to as a parking lot, and we've all been using it as a parking lot. But we need to say, it's on paper, it's a parking lot. And then that issue should never come up again.
Well, I will make the motion right now that we designate that area a parking lot. Right.
Well, I'm gonna speak to the whole situation. I believe I'm the one that found out about the property, who owned it, and they wanted to sell it, and I talked the board into buying it for the purpose in which it's being used. And I believe that's what the most of our citizens want. You can take a vote if you want to. The best we could do to start with was to get the one up the road a ways. And when this came available, we took the advantage of it and bought it for that use, so that our people didn't have to walk quarter mile, I'm stretching it, to park their trailers and trucks. And I think that's what it should stay. We've got a park over yonder. There are a possibility in the future, and I won't go into that it could be made, some of it to a park. But at the present, I believe it's used, and what it was bought for is what it's used for. And that's all I've got to say.
Okay.
Mary and Teddy, I've got a motion. I made the motion to keep it a parking lot. Do you want to second that?
Yes, I will.
Well, can I say that the Barnum Town residents own it as a Barnum Town parking lot?
Yeah, that's what the sign is down there. That's what the
So we
sign
want
is.
to make sure that that's clear. It's Barnum Town parking lot for our residents, our oystermen, our clammers, our commercial fishermen, whatever you want to go in the river, or swimming or whatever. So that we paid $151,000 for that piece of property. There's 3.5 acres. And I feel like
All
it
of
is-
you below.
and I feel like it should be used for,
Well,
it came out of our money.
There's many regulations on it. There's even is it a 75-foot setback from the marsh?
Where that marsh is back there, if you'll notice, there's some, yellow stakes there. The Corps of Engineer and the, environmentalist and some more come and looked at it. And they said we had to stay 75 foot back, and we had to put stakes down that said leave them there. And then, you can't do nothing with that except mow it. We couldn't put no crushed cement there, we couldn't put no nothing there. So that nature has to take care of it.
That's about all it's good for.
And there's some species of plants there that cannot be moved, and it's not only back there, it's around the pond. So, I don't see where you can do anything with it, not unless you've got the Corps of Engineers down there.
One other thing, I noticed the other day, I don't know if y'all seen this, and I don't know how it happened so fast. It looks like there's another pine tree dead down there. Not far from where y'all took down about a month ago. Have y'all seen that?
Same deal.
Another dead tree in that parking area.
I told that down in the marsh that you were concerned about.
I know it was, and there's another one down there I'm concerned
Well, I
about.
don't know, I haven't checked.
Doug, could y'all go to the universe, go there and check that? Another pine tree.
Do what now?
Another pine tree, not far from where y'all took down before.
Uh-huh.
It looked to me like it was dead the other day. That needs to be taken down. If it's dead, it needs to be taken down.
Yeah, there's another dead tree there needs to be taken out, yeah.
Yeah, it needs to be taken down before it hits someone's vehicle.
Yeah, me and Murray looked at it, this week.
Okay. All right,
I call the question.
okay, there's about a second.
Yeah, he seconded.
All in favor, raise your hand.
As long as we
Okay.
designate it, it sounds good to me. As long as we officially designate it.
So it is a parking lot for town, Barnum Town Fair. Now that's settled.
Now you're on the right track.
Now, another thing too, we have, we want to have a town cleanup, street cleanup on, September, for the Saturday after September, Labor Day, which would be September the 4th. And then, Labor Day, the first Saturday before that. The first Saturday after Labor Day, which is the 4th.
Yeah, 11th.
And the 11th, okay, then the next.
Labor Day's on the 6th.
Okay, the 11th. Okay, and then if we have a rain day, it would be the following Saturday.
It's gonna be real hot. It's gonna be still real hot. It's hot in September.
Well, do y'all want to change it to October?
I think the temperature will probably be a lot better.
Okay, and I talked with DOT, they said they would furnish the bags, the gloves, jackets, and everything for us. Also, I would like, of course, to have a cookout that day.
Can we finish that one first? Did you decide to change it to October or?
Yeah, change it to October.
When?
You need to look to see what dates you wanna change it to.
It's free dump week. Do it here, you can look through landfill dates.
Okay, October, the first Saturday in October is the 2nd. The alternate would be the 9th.
I won't be in town on the 9th, and I'll be here on the 2nd.
Maybe it will bring the 2nd.
I've already got plans for out of town on the 9th.
The 2nd and 9th. And like I said, we have to clean up, and then all townspeople are invited to the cookout.
What time?
I guess we would, what y'all think best time to have lunch?
Who you got cooking?
Oh, Wink said that he would cook, and we're having like hot dogs, chips, drinks, cookies. And then what we'd like to do, we'd like to have something like a sign-up sheet for the people that's gonna be here, and how many, and what kind of drink they.
What about the COVID situation?
Well, that's another thing we're gonna have to watch is the COVID. But hopefully it'll be lifted more, being we're gonna be outside.
What time?
I would say the cleanup should start at 9 o'clock. And we meet here at Town Hall.
Everybody gets a golf cart.
Bring your golf cart, that's right, bring your. Look, I'd ride.
Have it on the 8th, that's my birthday.
Yeah.
Bill, he's got a good point.
Spring cleanup week with the county dump is the 3rd week of September. Why not do it so that everybody cleans up, and doesn't have to pay to take the trash in?
I couldn't hear that. Can you come up and,
Billy, Mr. Mayor, the free cleanup week with the county landfill is the, let me just read it here. The week prior to the 3rd Saturday in September. And so everybody that does any cleanup won't have to pay to take the trash in. You may want to make the time coincide with that.
This is just clean up side the road.
yeah.
We're just clean up side the road,
So you can,
Roadside cleanup.
roadside cleanup.
sure,
Who disposes of the trash?
who disposes of that trash? You have to pay to do
What
it.
we'll have it in bags, orange bags, and then we'll take it to a certain area, and then the state will come and pick up and dispose of all of it.
Is somebody gonna mow the grass for you?
I know, I hope it gets money.
Happy night. It'll make it worse, you'll have 1,000 pieces to dig up then.
Good.
Yes,
Volunteers?
yeah, volunteers. It'll be picking up trash with volunteers. And, I would like to have, a list of the volunteers before, that Saturday morning. So we know about how many carts we need, how many trucks we need to take people to certain areas where they have a designated area to pick up. Then once they get the designated area to pick up, we'll bring it back to Town Hall, have it up under the pavilion here.
Well, I'll pick up Galvar.
I'm all down.
Good.
Come on, name down. Judy will start on one end, I'll start on the other.
We'll take over this side of Galvar.
They call it five.
They won't come to us.
So what we're trying to do, we're divided in a certain number and assigned a certain area, and then everybody should be finished about the same time. Then we'll be back here, we'll fellowship, we'll have lunch together, and, just.
Well, I've got Stanberry Run up to, Palm Grove.
I've got 315 on the
And up to where John Albert used to live, about
Okay.
almost to him.
Okay, so we have that squared away, right? Let's see. Okay, that, concludes my report. Now it's the committee's reports. Old business committee reports.
Well,
We hadn't said enough yet.
got a call from the Cape Fear Council of Government, Mr. Sam Shore. The federal government wants to give this money away. It's the American Rescue Plan, and we looked at it, Sandy and Sylvia, we all looked at that, because it looked like we could get, was it $150,000?
About 190,
You looked at it, somebody else had looked at it too, I
I
thought.
saw it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a good amount of money, and we'd have like 3 years to spend it in. But we got to looking, and from what they had, where it could be spent, we couldn't use it. So I told Mr. Shore then, I said, there's no point in us getting the money to have to just let it revert back to the state, because there's nothing for us to spend on. But I did tell him that we had a need, because our ditches are not draining properly. We need our ditches dug, that's a need. And to take care, especially if we were to have some storms or hurricanes, some of these places would be in trouble. Well, he suggested, that'll be y'all's decision, because it's a lot of work getting all this done. He said that the federal government has given them a grant, that they have the resources, they're being paid to help small towns get these applications together to file. And he said, even though right now it doesn't look like we got any use for the money, or we got use for it, but they won't let us use it where we want to. He said that he had contacted the officials again, and they have said they have not made a determination on what it could be spent on, and he said they're giving them this feedback to what the towns need. So he said there's a good probability that they might allow that. And he said if we've got our application in and they allow it, we've got the $190,000, and if they don't, we just don't accept it. So that's a lot. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of work on this lady right here, a lot of work.
If we get our ditches cleaned out.
Wouldn't
so
that
we
be
can have
something
drainage.
good?
If you also remember, based on the Zoom meeting that we watched, we would also have to have a different CPA that only worked with Yellow Book audit.
Yeah, and the money has to be put in a separate line item too. And we got to have a separate person to audit, an accountant. So
There's
it's
a
not.
lot to
Well,
go
that grant
through.
money could pay for that, could the grant money pay for that accountant?
Well, based on what they're saying, they don't know what you can use it for yet.
It's still up there.
And you can go through months and months and months of work to get it in order, and then you can't use it, and you've spent all this money to get all of this stuff in order, and then you can't use this money.
I think the town of Shalom, when they got all those
They
applications,
dropped it.
they said forget it.
They started the process and it was just too much. They dropped
Too
it.
much for them. Well, he wanted to give us another opportunity because he said they would help us with the application and all that, and there was a chance that, you know, they would allow us to use it for drainage, to get our ditches cleared out, but, he doesn't know for sure, you know.
If I'm not
It's up to the
mistaken,
owner.
Bill, if I'm not mistaken, Shalote wanted to use theirs just for their drainage. And once they got in the process, they backed off.
They just back on.
Well, anyway, I told him that I would bring it before the board, and if y'all want to, you know, that's what he was saying, so I'm sort of hesitant to even go that way, because there's no guarantee either way that we can use it or not use it.
So it looks like there'll be a lot of bureaucracy and things.
Now, there is one more thing that I would like to do, Lord willing. There at Stanberry Run, there's a hole there on the shoulder of the road. It is deep, people. I took a stick about this high and I don't know if it goes right on down. I don't know how far down it goes, but it's deep. The grass is over it. You can't see it if somebody's riding a bicycle or walking and they get over on that shoulder, they could drop right in that hole or, you know, and it's dangerous. And you know that we have tried for, what, 2 years to get the state to come down and do something about that hole. Because I keep getting Doug to go down there and, you know, weed eat it, and it's out of control now because this rain has shot everything up. Because I'm thinking if you weed it around it, at least maybe you can see, you know, see it. So, if it pleases the board, I would like to take this further, get a picture of it, and send it to somebody above our DOT in Shalote and give them a picture of what we're dealing with and see if we can get somebody to move on it. If you'll do that, I'll type up a letter, or get one, you know, that Sandy can put on letterhead, and we'll see if y'all want to, and see if we can get somebody above that'll do something about
So
it.
we already called Shalote.
Okay.
For 2 years,
Okay.
we've been going.
Here's where you get time to
Yeah.
I've got, I go back and look at my records, I've got the names of some people in Wilmington that, you might contact.
Well, I've been.
I've sent pictures and stuff over there before.
Wilmington was supposed, what's her name? Iris McCombs, is it? The chief engineer at Shalote, she told me, she said, I'll contact Wilmington for you, they'll give you a call. I never got a call. I went online and, tried to get up with them, I couldn't, so
I've got their email address and everything.
I feel like it's time we go a little.
Think about this. Who hauls the dirt down at the, parking lot? If we need some extra dirt in there, can we get him and say, look, here's this hole. Can you fill this hole up for us? When we tried Wilmington, we tried Shalote, it hasn't been done yet, and it's very, very dangerous.
It is
Can we
dangerous.
do it ourselves?
I'm not under, where is it located, David?
It's right in front the run.
Where?
Right in front of Stanberry Run, where some people will stand there and fish. It's right in front of the run, but it's one on, the
Right side.
yeah, where Herbie, down that way, on that side of the road. It's not on the Varnumtown side, it's on the other side. But it's, right there in front where people would stand and fish. It's a deep hole, and it's big. It's a big, we even put
Is it where it's washing out?
Is it washed out underneath the road?
That's probably.
well,
what
it
is.
might be, I don't
That's
know.
what, that'd be hard, just feel it, that'd be hard just hauling dirt.
It's
It's
within
washed
the
out
right of
underneath
way,
the road, that's what
between
we
the
don't know.
pavement and it's on the.
It's on the shoulder.
See if we can't get some of the state people that will.
Well-
I got a name, I'll make it up with it.
What I was thinking is, because we've tried for 2 years And the lady in Charlotte, that, the chief engineer, she said she contacted Wilmington and they were to call me. I never got an answer, so I don't know where the breakdown was. But what I was suggesting, because pictures are worth 1,000 words, to take a picture of it and send it higher up the scale and see if we can get some action.
I got an email address and a
We'll
phone
try.
number right there.
Take 5 pounds of shrimp up there and you get half a standard filled up.
Any more committee reports?
I don't think you need a motion to do that.
We just
do it.
That's what
We just need some pictures and a telephone.
So I'll get it to Sandy and she can send it off.
Email address.
You agree with it?
GM. At ncdot.gov.
We can try it, it might work. I don't know.
Okay, any more old business committee reports?
Let's see.
Okay, Alderman Dawson.
Sound system report. I finally got up with Terry. The two numbers that I was looking at online were disconnected, and when I finally got up with Sandra, she said that he had finally disconnected the regular phone and he was only operating off of his cell phone now. I called him, he said he is out of town until 8/20, the end of that week. And that if I'd call him back the first of the next week, which would be 8/23, that, Bud? I gotta clean my book off. That he would be glad to come down here and look at the 2 rooms and decide, give us a recommendation on what we need. So that can occur later this month. I also talked with Mike Fulford, and he gave a list of equipment that he would thought that we would need, and that would be 8 wireless mics if we go with a portable system so we can move it from room to room, 7 table stands for us, 1 floor stand for when the public comes up to speak, the soundboard to run it on, and 2 speakers, and he said we'd probably need 2 speakers in here and get by with using 1 in there in the small room if we transported it back in there. But his thing is that he says that this room does not have enough soundboards in it because when he's in it, when there's a large crowd in here, you've still got sound bouncing.
Yeah.
So he said that before that he would recommend buying the equipment or get us a price on the equipment, he would want us to better soundboard this room so that the sound isn't bouncing on the ceiling and back and forth, and that we needed to put soundboards in there because if we got a sound system, we'd be amplifying sound that is already bouncing back and forth on the walls, and that we still wouldn't be able to hear, and that we might end up hearing worse with the amplified sound. So he said that's as far as he was going to take his recommendation or his estimate until that we better control the sound in the 2 rooms. Now since Terry was not in the shop and he was out of town when I was talking to him, I didn't ask him about soundboards. I just said, well, when you get back and I get up with you, we can go over and get the recommendation for what you think we need.
So he didn't give you a price, any kind of estimate at all?
Now Mike said he was not going to recommend any equipment until we control the sound bouncing.
But he did it one time, he gave you a amount.
Well, he gave me a ballpark figure, which I think was between 7 and 10,000, depending upon the quality of the equipment that we go with. And he said that there were different grades of microphones, and that they had run into this at the auditorium when the auditorium opened. That the auditorium went with a lesser quality microphone when it first opened because the college had spent all that money to build the auditorium. And within a couple of years that the mics were given out, and that he and Mike Sapp had to go back before the board to request new equipment, and then had to convince them, you've got to put some money into some quality equipment so it'll last. And then when they bought the next series of microphones and soundboards, that they went up on the quality, up on the price, but then it ended up lasting 8 to 10 years before they had to replace it. So he said he wasn't gonna get into different brands until we control the sound levels.
You think Terry needs to come down here and
Terry,
what
where,
this?
I don't know if Terry has ever attended any wedding parties or anything in here to actually hear the sound when you've got about 30 people in here or 40 people. But I would say, let's get Terry down here too and let him look at the building, listen to it with 1 or 2 people talking in here and see what kind of sound bounce he thinks there is and what he would recommend.
Is he the one that recommended these? Who recommended putting these up when the building was built?
It's just something we did because it was so bad.
Yeah, something we recommend.
So we didn't get a sound person in here or nothing to.
I don't think so.
And I don't, they're all the way around, where else would we put them?
I guess.
Ceiling. That's some of the option you got.
Do you remember who put these on here?
I sure do,
It's been a long time, cause without these, it would give you a headache to try to talk to somebody.
Echoes.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, that would solve a
Well,
lot
I
of it, but you don't
agree.
want that in here.
You're right, to amplify a sound that's already bouncing might be worse.
Okay.
So, I guess my recommendation is let's wait until Terry gets back, let him look at the 2 rooms, and then we'll go from there. We now know what Mike recommends, more soundboards in both rooms, and see what Terry recommends, and then make a decision which way to go.
He might even recommend more soundboard.
Probably would.
Okay. Any other committee reports? Okay, Clerk, Finance?
The only old business I have is I checked on that app that I had, previously, told y'all about. And then I checked, with a couple of different towns on what systems they use. The one that I knew of was the town of Harrell's. So I called her and she said that their system was set up years and years and years ago through their telephone company. And it's through, they had to manually put in everybody's telephone numbers. And so she said she hates it because if somebody doesn't have that phone number anymore, then they don't get that message. If somebody doesn't tell them to change their number, so she said she wouldn't, even if our telephone company offered something like that, she would not recommend going through manual telephone numbers, and that's who they use. And then I contacted, Caswell Beach, and they, have a setup through their website designer. They have a link through their website where the citizens can go in and put their email address in, and then it shoots them through emails information that they have, but that is a design feature just for their website. It's not some outside company that does that, so that's what they have. So then I went and tried to find some information on the app that I had gotten through the mail, the information, and I cannot find any reviews. I can't find any, this must be fairly new. So I can't say that it's been recommended, just that this is all the information I have. And I went online to try to find some other mobile apps for mass, information. Most of them are set up for mass texting. group texting, back and forth texting, and that is not what we want. So the only thing that I've seen that is what we need is this app, but I can't find any reviews on it. So if y'all want to go online and look at it yourself, you may decide, you know, if that's what you want to do, but this is the only one that I can find.
And that's when it's tied into the website?
No, this is through your phone where you download an app, and then whoever, me and whoever that has access, can just type in, you know, meeting this date, this time, and then it goes to everybody that's downloaded that app. It's not a text and back and forth situation, it's just information
Sent out.
sent out only in mass produces, and things. Now, the county has that Code Red app. I don't know if that's something that we could look into. Is that only used for emergencies, or can you use that for just general information? But they use that Code Red app, and that's what they use that for. So we might could look into that one also. But that's the only ones I have found. I haven't found anything else.
I think that if we went by using the cell phones, there's more people, I believe it's got cell phones that have email. And that would be, yeah, if we could work it out.
Well, at this time, we don't really even have a way to do the email one, because that Casual Beach said that it was set up through their web designer.
Yeah, we
So it was a special feature that they had on their website.
Yeah, so, like mouse phones. Well, I'd
Maybe
like,
time to check with the county and see what,
Well, we would just have to do research on the Code Red. That's just what it's called. You could go online and read up on it, and
But
see.
you'd have to get a list of phone numbers, wouldn't you?
I don't know if that is where you can download the app. I don't know, because I have to do research
We
on
do that
that.
ourselves, probably. We download the app, we don't know.
That's what this is, where you just download the Elon City app.
that would be the easiest, if we could work that one out.
Yeah, this one appears to be the simplest and what we need, but like I said, I don't have any reviews. And I don't wanna end up with another situation like our sign, where we can't really utilize it like we wanted to.
I agree.
okay, thank you, Sandy. New business. I don't have any new business. Committee reports, new business. Okay,
Website update, it should be functional by the end of this month. We've got a domain name, it's btowninfo.com. If you go to it right now, it's not active, but it should be by the end of the month. We've figured out how to upload the meetings, and Wednesday, I'm planning on coming over here with Sandy to see about the ordinances, and probably will scan them in. Probably the easiest thing is gonna be scan them into a Google Dropbox and put a link to the Dropbox on the website to get them up.
Well, and it'll also, once we get the codifications updated, after we get all of these done, there should be a link through the codification, the legal, ones that do it for us, they're supposed to supply us the link. So we could just go straight, they'll have it online for us, and we can do it that way, then you can just use the codified ones and not just,
Just
that.
put that link on there.
yeah.
Cause you know, they checked, remember, Serkin tried to go to that link, and they had not done that yet for us. So let's remember to make sure they get that online.
There was one town I checked for something not too long ago, and I noticed that they had a link through the same ones that did our codifications, and there's work.
You wouldn't scan all that in.
Yeah. So that's something if you wanna wait, and so you won't have to scan in 500 pages, and just wait till we get the codification. I mean, it's a longer process, you have to wait a little bit longer, because we have to send all these new updates in.
If we get the main part of it up, we could wait on the ordinances.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I've got, just in terms of COVID numbers, the county had 726 active cases Saturday morning. When I looked at the website about 5 o'clock, we now have 1,011 active cases in the county. So that is an increase of 285 active cases of COVID in 48 hours in Brunswick County alone that have been diagnosed. So if everybody asks why we're wearing these masks in here, that's part of it.
So I say if you can get your shot and you haven't, get it. My granddaughter had Lindsay, she had COVID and she's had her shots, but it was just like a bad sinus.
Then you have pre-existing conditions, make sure you're around people that haven't had that shot, even though you've had the shot. Any other committee reports?
That's what I gave you.
Yeah, but I found.
I told you it's about.
Clerk finance report.
New business, we had, 2 HVAC permits, a service call permit. Down the road through, on Sabbath Home in front of the park, a couple weeks ago, they were replacing the power poles. And our, maintenance man called me and said that the contractors that BEMC was using had their big bucket truck inside of the fence on the ballpark, and he had rutted it up, and he was concerned about the sprinkler system. So I called Brunswick Electric. He gave me the number of who they had contracted that area through. I spoke to him. He was not happy with that group that did that, so he met with Doug and with Matt to check the sprinkler systems and to check the damage, and was told that the sprinkler system was okay and that they were gonna repair the ruts. Is that correct, Doug? In the park where that big truck came through, he said he was gonna repair the ruts.
I think they have went ahead and took the piper and packed it back down and put sand in the ruts, and I think it all can go over tomorrow, take a look at it.
Okay, so, that was done, and then, I had some questions with our property taxes that was sent, so I called Brunswick County, and they are gonna send someone out to reassess some of our, property, and they told me not to pay any of the property taxes until the assessments came back, and they will contact me on that. So there is a possibility that some of our property has been, assessed incorrectly, based on, they were using old information versus what's there now, down at the boat ramp. Let's see. The sales tax E-585 report's been completed. The solid waste report's been completed. The workman's comp audit report has been completed. And that's all my report this month.
Cindy, how about when we met with the assistant town manager or county manager, have you had any relief on those numbers yet? Whenever someone comes down and wants a permit?
There's not been enough time to go by for me to know if anything's
So you
changed.
haven't got back up? All right, time for public comments.
Y'all got one.
Okay, Dave?
David, I appreciate you, checking on that hearing impaired, but here's what I was looking at. There's been a lot of discussions about putting it out there on the marquee about, the hearings and stuff that people come in, But when we come in, we can't hear, or at least I can, and I appreciate that.
You're not doing what you can't hear today. Any more public comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
As far as the highway is concerned, when you were
Can
talking,
I, if,
sure,
can I get your name
Cindy
and the last name?
Ridenhour.
Thank you.
As far as the highways are concerned, I know you guys were talking about the holes in the highways. Okay, well, we're motorcycle riders, so we ride motorcycles up and down this road. And there have been numerous times that we have come through here, and there's grass on the road, which you know is not a good thing for motorcyclists. There is grass growing up through the roads. There are potholes all the way down the road. I live right next door. I hear the boats go by every day. They're hitting a hole that is so hard in the highway, I'm surprised that it doesn't bust their tires. My thoughts on this, I know you said that you've been contacting the DOT for 2 years. I mean, every day somebody needs to be contacting DOT until something's done. I mean, it can't continue going like this and then it gets kind of pushed to the side and then you worry about it later when it could really cause a serious accident, especially as a motorcyclist on this highway.
They need to repay, there's no doubt about that.
They do.
Oh, yeah, right.
When the last time this road been repaved? 33 years?
I don't know, not one.
I believe it. And every time you meet a vehicle, it's right there at the pothole.
Right.
Right there where you're gonna be.
Exactly.
That's right.
And I
There's
think
no
Robert, I
way
used to fill this up 2 or 3 times a day, I wash it out every time you do it.
Well, when I was talking with, Sam Shore at the Council of Governments, he said that there were a lot of towns that could not get DOT, they could not get any work from DOT. It's small towns that are overlooked, so it's not, according to him, it's not just us, that it's small towns all over North Carolina that they're just not getting what they need.
If I'm not mistaken, when you checked with them the last time, they said there was not any funds, that they couldn't even do anything because there was no money.
What's our attorney, is that not something that she can check into for our town if we're not getting any response, isn't that what she's there for?
I rode around with one of the
The
engineers,
town attorney.
and he said that he saw the potholes, and they have repaired some of them, but it's not like they should have repaired them. They just temporary. And they said they don't have any money.
Well, the federal government is getting ready to pass an
They-
infrastructure bill, so maybe that money will go out and they'll have the money.
They will get some of that funds.
So my next question was on that loan that you were talking about for the town, what are they actually gonna allow you to use that for? Have they gave you a list on that?
Some of it I thought was about like wastewater.
There was, wastewater was one of the things,
Wouldn't that be this?
It was just so many things, it just.
And it's social programs.
Social.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as a community, that would be something that if we're eligible to at least apply for, we should make efforts to do that, especially if it's gonna help our town. If we can't use it, if we're not allowed to use it, then you just give it back.
if it was that easy. It's not that easy.
Shalom even.
Can I say
stopped. Yeah.
They're not gonna do anything until this infrastructure bill passes. That's what this state's waiting. When that passes, that's when you'll get your roads paved.
And hopefully.
And I think that they voted on it tonight.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, hopefully to get.
Well, that's when they'll start paving.
If that
Right
all
now, the
gets-
state is just shutting down everything and waiting on that money to come in.
If that hole gets any bigger than this
It's all
thing is talking
positive.
about, it sounds to me like that culvert pipe's leaking, and it's leaking from underneath.
I'm thinking it's more than just a hole,
There's
there's
just a
something
hole- There's a
underneath
hole in that
the
culvert pipe.
It's a
And
state
it's
road.
falling from underneath.
That's-
That needs to be checked on, that's bad.
I think so too.
Cause it could be washing out of underneath the road. First hurricane would come, Stanberry Run, we're all washed in, you know, you can't get through there.
I agree, yeah.
Any more public comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
I'll say.
All in favor, raise your hand. See y'all next week.